Hello and welcome to another episode in my Warhammer 40k Conquest series. Now I did have a different intro recorded already, but I've made some last minute changes to the episode. So now in this episode we're going to have building guides and tips for both issues 16 and 17. So stay tuned. First of all, if you'd like to click the subscribe button and the little bell icon next to it, you'll get all of the notifications every time I upload a video. Now, let's get straight to it. In this episode, we will be building the Inceptor, the Intercessors and the Hellblasters. If you click this link here, it will show you how to build the Intercessors. It is the easy build kit, but you can use the same guide. It's just you got to glue everything rather than just push it. It's that simple. Make sure you got all the tools you need, and don't forget these bases if you are using them. I'm not using the stands because I have nowhere to store the Intercessor once I put them together, but if you are using them, I'll show you how to as well. Do make sure that you do keep the spare ones, as you will need them in the future when you receive more Intercessors. Now, clip out the bits that you need. This is the Intercessor, by the way. So you clip out the bits that you need using a flat side against the piece you need. Once you've got them out, use the mold line remover to remove the excess mold lines and flash. Once you've done that, you then glue it together, remembering that less is more when you're using your glue. Once you've done that, you can then clip out the rest of it. As you can see here, I've done exactly that. I made sure that I kept the legs on the correct side of the torso so that I don't get them mixed up. Reason being is because they only fit on one specific leg. Make sure that you dry fit everything as well before you do glue it, and ensure that you get a nice snug fit. Once you've got the legs on, you can then look to gluing the head in. Now this is posable as well. It does have a fixed position to put in two poses, but if you clip out the pin, you can then have more freedom on how you pose the head. The hood is attached to the jetpack on the back, so once you put this together, you do have the option of leaving it off if you wish to paint all the nooks and crannies around the helmet. If you're not too fast, then you could just glue it straight back on. Make sure that you do apply the glue in the correct areas. Once that's done, you can then look to glue in the arms on. Now the right arm does only go into one position, but the left arm is a bit more flexible. It has a star-shaped indentation, which means that you can pose it however you wish. So you can go for the Night Fever pose, or you can go for the I'm shooting down at someone pose. It's entirely up to you. Once you've decided, glue it in place. Don't forget also you got the base part of the jetpack to glue in last. Next up is your decision on whether or not to use the stand. Now if you are going to use the stand, you need to glue it right there on the jetpack. I would do this with it lying down, and make sure that you hold it long enough so that it can cure. That way it doesn't start drooping and you get a weird angle on it. Then glue the stand onto the base. Do this while it's lying on its side, and you will have a more secure way of gluing it together. Okay, so now we're just going to quickly breeze over the alternative where you can glue it onto the base. Now, because of the weird angle that the boots are at, you can't just have them standing on the base. So what I've done is I've created some rubble using some spare sprue. Made sure that I had one piece angled in a certain way, so that once I put his boot on it, he's standing near enough at a correct angle so it doesn't look like he's falling over. Then just glue it on all together, make sure that it is dry before you glue him onto the base, and voila, just like that. And there you go, you can see he's quite nicely glued onto the base and it is quite secure at the same time. Fun fact, this is what it looks like when I have to do the job elsewhere. So let's get these Intercessors and Hellblasters put together. Now the main bodies are very similar. The only difference is that with the Hellblaster, one of them you need to glue the leg on. It's that different. That's it. Nothing else. They're very similar to the push fits as well, but you just need to glue them rather than push them together. With the gun arms, I would suggest dry fitting them first, and then just gluing 3 points, so this arms sockets and where the wrist meets the hand on the gun. You then put the smaller arm in first, because that is the trickiest one to fit into place, and then you sling the gun arm over that while the glue is still wet, so that way you can just maneuver it in place and get the right angle on it. The heads are also posable, and you can clip the pin out on these as well to get a more dynamic look, but it's good enough as it is. Then you just glue the back on and you're done. Here is an example of gluing the leg on. There's nothing really too complicated there, and again with the plasma gun you just glue it in place exactly the same way you did with the bolt rifle. And there you go, job's done. So here are the two Intercessors, and here are the two Hellblasters. As you can see, very similar. So cool segue, this is where I went on my birthday. I got to see all kinds of awesome reptiles and alligators and crocodiles and stuff, and they did live feeding. That was pretty cool. Anyway, back to the hobby. And we are looking at issue 17's Armoured Container. Now, we have already built one of these, so I don't need to bore you with the details on how to build one. So I will put a link up in the top right corner any moment now, and this will take you right there to the episode where I built it. So I will only be using these tools that you see here, and I'm going to show you ways that you can make it look a bit more unique, maybe battle damaged, or maybe like something's trying to crawl out, it's trying to escape. So without further ado, let's get to it. So here's the main body, and what I want to do is just give it the appearance that something has burst out. Now I was thinking maybe having the door open on bottom hinges, and you could glue it there and you can have it open. That's cool. That's a bit boring. So I got the clippers, and very carefully pointing away from myself and my fingers, I pressed it into the middle of the panel. It buckles fairly easy, and you could tear through it without too much force necessary. Once I got the clippers through, I then found myself thinking, this isn't wide enough. So I used the clippers like pliers to make huge sheared chunks pulled away from the center of that impact, just to make it look like something really forced its way out. So of course you don't want to press too hard on the clippers, you just want to use them to force the angle on the plastic a bit and bend it a bit. I then dry fitted it on there, and I wasn't quite happy with the damage, so I thought, okay, let's do a bit of damage on the actual container itself. I then glued it on where the points still fit, and it looked pretty cool like that. I did make the hole a bit wider as well, but then I thought, hang on, I was still not happy with this. So I ended up pulling it all apart and making more indents on from the inside, going along, as you can see, like that. And again, I used the clippers to make a little hole at the top as well, and then I glued everything back together with the door that's burst open, and that's it. So it literally was just with the clippers pushing it through, and yeah, it looks like something was really having a go trying to escape. And here are some pictures. So there you go. Looks pretty cool down there, doesn't it? And I had a little bit of fun with the models as well, I have to say, posing them and stuff. Thank you again for joining me. I really hope you found this episode informative and useful, and if you got any suggestions, just pop them in the comments below. As always, I've got my social media links here. Please do like, share, subscribe. Everything's in the description below. And also, while you're at it, take a look at this. Okay, so just in case you don't think that it actually does exist, this is what it looks like. So this is my Instagram. As you can see, very fascinating stuff here. You also got me on Twitter over here, so take a look at that, just in case you get confused at any other people who might be stealing my name. You never know. And of course, this is my Facebook as well, so have a good look on there, and feel free to, you know, tag me in any pictures you got, hook me up, let me know what you're doing, feel free to add me. So there you go. In case you had any doubt in what it looked like, that's it. So I'll see you next time. And before we go, our 40k thought of the day is: even a man who has nothing can still offer his life. See you next time.